Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the OneWest webinar. We are here this morning to talk about access to opportunity. We're talking about a couple of different topics. First, we're going to have a presentation from the West End Business Association, and after that, we'll go into a panel where we talk about diversity and procurement. And our final panel today will be about business financing. So without further ado, I'm going to kick it over to the President and CEO of OneWest, Ms. Yvonne Smith.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome. On behalf of the Board of Directors for OneWest, we are so glad you could join us this morning. We are going to present to you a minority business enterprise webinar talking about access to opportunities and financing. But first, before we do that, I would like to introduce some very special folks that are doing some wonderful things in the West End community. First, I'd like to introduce to you all the CEO of Park Duval Community Health Center, Ms. Elizabeth Ann Hagan-Grigsby, who was raised in Washington, D.C., where she graduated from George Washington University with a Bachelor of Science degree in biology prior to attending the University of Louisville School of Medicine. Ann earned a healthcare executive certificate from the Johnson & Johnson UCLA Healthcare Executive Program at UCLA Anderson School of Management, sponsored by the Health Resources and Services Administration. She also earned a Master's in Business Administration from the University of Phoenix. Ann's bio is extremely important because I always want our young people to know this is how you do it. Ann is a representative of a lot of what we look for in our young people, and that is the willingness to persevere and to meet opportunity with excellence and preparation. I'd also like to introduce to you a gentleman by the name of Cyprian Okiki, who is a local realtor with the Fowler Realtors in Louisville, Kentucky. He is also a Lean and Six Sigma leader and has held lean and continuous improvement leadership roles at several companies, including GE Appliances, Hitachi Cable, Automotive Products USA, American Air Filter, and others. He was responsible for license and management agreements, as well as market and feasibility studies, as the president and principal owner of Royal Homes as well. He's done many things in our community and continues to help move us forward. Without further ado, I'd like to turn it over to Ann Hagan-Grigsby and let her give you some wonderful information on a new initiative happening in West Louisville.
Thank you so much, Yvonne, for inviting us to be here today. And thank you for the wonderful introduction. I do want to mention to the young people out there, it's not where you begin that matters, it's where you choose to go and where you end. I started out as a foster child, and this is not the expected trajectory often for children in the foster care system. So, don't let anything stop you from trying to achieve your goals. We're really excited about the West End Business Association. Mr. Okiki and I are the co-chairs, and with a group of individuals that you will see in the upcoming video, we are trying to coalesce a resource for the West End businesses where you can it's a clearinghouse, where you can go there and get information about all of these different opportunities and ways to engage and learn to grow and develop your business if you're an existing business, a new business, or if you just are thinking about starting one. So, without further ado, we can go right into the video, Yvonne. Thank you so very much. Unless Cyprian has something he would like to say.
Go ahead, Ann, and then I'll pitch in at the end of your presentation.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
To the West End Business Association, or as we like to refer to it, Weba. Weba is committed to the West End of Louisville because of its rich history and for what having a thriving business community in the West End of Louisville can mean to the overall Louisville economy. As you may know, the West End of Louisville developed as an area of African Americans, Jewish, German, and Irish immigrants. It was home to many prominent African American residents in the late 19th century, such as Dr. Sarah Fitzbutler, who was the first African-American woman to receive a medical degree in Kentucky, and her husband, Henry Fitzbutler, who became Louisville's first Black physician. And of course, let us not forget about former West End resident and three-time world boxing champion, Muhammad Ali. In 1908, the nation's first public library opened to African Americans, the Western branch of the Louisville Free Public Library in the West End. By the 1940s, West Louisville had grown into a rich array of distinctive neighborhoods and businesses. The area between West Market Street and Broadway from 9th to 32nd Streets had numerous theaters, groceries, newspapers, insurance firms, and nightclubs. Weba believes the West End of Louisville can once again be a thriving area for business and an important contributor to the Louisville economy. As such, we are excited that you have taken the time to learn more about Weba and hope that as you do, you will decide to join Weba or get involved in one of its activities or events. So what is Weba? Weba, as we just said, is the West End Business Association. It is a business association incorporated under the laws of the Commonwealth of Kentucky, and it was approved by the IRS as a 501c3 organization, which means it will be a nonprofit, tax-exempt organization established for the growth and development of businesses located in the West End of Louisville. Weba's mission is to promote economic growth in the West End of Louisville. Let's talk a little bit more about who we are. Who is Weba really? Well, Weba includes businesses with a commitment to promote economic growth in the West End of Louisville. The businesses that comprise Weba are of all sizes and are involved in many different industries, including healthcare, health insurance, food and beverage, real estate, and banking. And as you can see here on the screen, these are what we consider to be the founders of Weba. We've noted that these companies that this group represents are both large and small. We think it takes all of these types of organizations in order to have a great business association. So now let's talk about meeting the needs of the businesses located in the West End of Louisville. And let's talk a little bit about what you find in the West End of Louisville. The West End of Louisville is comprised of the following neighborhoods: Shawnee, Portland, Parkland, Russell, California, Chickasaw, Park Duval, and Algonquin. The total population in the West End of Louisville is approximately 61,000. Total businesses and employees in the West End of Louisville, and we take our stats from the Initiative for a Competitive Inner City in partnership with the city of Louisville, that indicated that we're probably around 1,500 companies located in the West End, employing approximately 34,000 people. So what are the business needs of businesses located in the West End of Louisville? We see that these businesses need access to resources, financial safety, road and street improvements, increased visibility, combined voice to get things done. Well, to address these needs, Weba will provide advocacy, education, networking, and much more. Let's talk about that in more detail. Certainly, there will be advocacy. Weba for members to join forces politically. While Weba has no specific party affiliation or political agenda, the political issues that affect business owners are among its concerns. Weba can contact legislators on behalf of their members to push forward legislation that favors commerce. Networking. By joining Weba, you've increased the possibility of associating with other businesses. Whether it's Weba hosting a happy hour or an industry association sponsored by Weba, or collaborating with Weba to hold a 3-day conference, you'll have opportunities to network with other business people and expand your network. Education. You can take advantage of professional development and educational seminars that are complementary with your membership. By inviting organizations, state and local agencies, and individuals to Weba meetings and events, you can learn about business planning, legal requirements for businesses, and financing options. Access to services and resources. Weba will work to offer discounts to owners and employees. For example, members might get discounts on services such as insurance or accounting. In some cases, Weba may even be able to pool its resources and provide discounted healthcare plans to business owners and member employees. Marketing. One of the advantages offered by Weba is an increased presence. By joining Weba, you can increase your business visibility in your geographical area, within your industry, or within your community of, for example, small businesses. Strength in numbers. As a Weba member, it can be easier to get things done. Weba can represent a voting bloc, so you may be able to work with policymakers to ensure you're able to continue doing business in a favorable climate. For example, the number of business association members can also help you negotiate better member rates, things like health insurance and other vital services. Direct local consumer to your business. Whether attending city and community festivals, talking to the media, or speaking to consumers, the staff at Weba are constant contact with consumers. Are in a prime position to extol the importance of your business to local communities and the need to support them. Many of these consumers find your business and become paying customers for your products or services through Weba's outreach via website, social media, or other outlets. In summary, Louisville is a great city with a rich history of economic vitality. It is home to the Kentucky Derby, iconic brands like KFC, Maker's Mark, and Louisville Slugger. World-class companies like Brown-Forman, UPS, GE, and Humana. Notice that specific to the west end of Louisville, we have Brown-Forman, West Louisville Republic Bank Foundation, YMCA, Clariant, Mesa Foods, Heine Brothers Headquarters, Portland Investment Initiative, the Village at West Jefferson, Chef Space, and The Table, just to name a few. If you want the city of Louisville to continue to be a great city, we need to continue to invest in and grow more businesses located in the west end of Louisville. And if you are committed to the economic development, social responsibility, and business empowerment of West End businesses, then the West End Business Association is the organization for you. If you would like to get involved, call us at 502-702-0114 or email us at louisville.weba@gmail.com. You can also like us on Facebook. Thank you.
Absolutely, well done.
Thank you very much. That was by David Henley. David Henley is one of the co-founders of Weba. He was, the voiceover was provided by him, and he is formerly a vice president with Passport and is now a vice president with Centene, as seen on the slideshow. We would like you to please consider joining with us. Weba membership fees will be posted on the Facebook and website. It's actually going to only be $10 a year. You know, we just want people to have access to the resources and information. And if you have events that are going to be going on that are related to business growth, we would love to include that on our Weba website so that individuals can have access to that information in one place.
Absolutely. What I will say is definitely I urge everybody listening that has a business in West End to absolutely endeavor to join this organization. It gives you a level playing field. In the video, it talks about all the benefits that our members get by being a member. You can, go to our Facebook and website, and if you want to listen to the video some more, absolutely do that. The advocacy, the education, the networking, partnership that this organization offers to small business is absolutely critical. I'm a small business owner in West End, and this organization is absolutely what I need to thrive in West End. Thank you.
Thank you both so much. I'd also like to say that Weba has been in the information for the past 2 years. I know we've been talking and working on this and trying to pull things together. And this does not replace any other organization working with businesses. This is in addition to and to complement the work of all the folks working to help small businesses rise to the top. The other thing that we know is that there's a master planning process coming for the West Broadway corridor. It's actually going to go east and west from the graveyard all the way in the east, all the way to the river in the west. And so you want to have a collective voice at the table. You want to make sure your concerns are heard. And when you think about where the government may put in egress and ingress to different areas, you want to make sure that your voice is heard about what matters to you. And then other things around signage and what have you. This is where we're going to be talking about those things, site utilization, things that complement your business and the community is going to be important. And this is a space and place that gives you a chance to have your voice heard and to be side by side with other business owners. So without further ado, I'm going to let Emily turn on our polling. We'd like to hear from you, the audience. So we have a poll that we're going to post, and we ask that you would respond to the polling that she will put up on your screen. Once you answer the poll, you'll have the ability to end the polling, to remove it and move forward with the webinar. Now, I'd like to go into our first panel discussion, which is diversity in procurement. You will hear from Kelly Watson with MSD, Vincent Anthony, the president of the 7 p.m. group, Renee Goatley with Louisville Metro Human Relations Commission, Sally Malsberger with Uofl Procurement, and Phil Riedinger with Louisville Metro Housing Authority. This is an important panel. I'm going to give each person a chance to introduce themselves and tell a little bit about their companies. Kelly, will you kick us off?
Good morning, thank you. I have, my position now at MSD is I am the Equity and Compliance Officer, and I have been at MSD for 6 months now. Prior to that, I was the Chief Equity Officer in the Mayor's Office, in which a couple of departments did actually report up to me, and we were quite involved in supply diversity and trying to have equity and build wealth within our community amongst our MBEs and try to increase capacity and things of that nature. We are actually at a time right now where MSD is approaching their 35th anniversary for their supply diversity program. That's quite a bit of a long time for a program of this nature. In 2018, MSD did a disparity study. And in that study revealed quite a few underutilizations that they knew existed at that time. And so since then, we have actually been putting into place the recommendations from our disparity study. We are really working quite hard. We've got bid discounts that are available, as well as percentage goals for M's and W's, as well as local labor preference requirements and community benefits requirements for our bids. As you know, MSD is a vital part of the community, doing quite a few large-scale capital projects within the community. So these sorts of programs that we're putting in place matter and make a difference. So I will stop there and elaborate later. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Vincel?
Well, good morning to everybody. As Yvonne said earlier, I'm Vincel Anthony with the 7 p.m. group, and it's awesome to see so many familiar faces for, I should say, from the past and current. Having a great affinity for the city of Louisville, having worked out of a couple of different cities, Cincinnati and Atlanta in particular, but Louisville is where I grew up, and so I know that most of the folks on this panel naturally and truly have a desire to see Louisville and our minority business community truly expand and grow and get its proper place among our peer cities that surround us, whether that's Cincinnati or Nashville or Indianapolis. In some people's opinion, they may have slightly moved ahead of us, but our goal is to catch up and put them behind us. With the 7 p.m. group, we are a diversity consulting firm. Our concentration intentionally is in the construction area, and that's primarily because there's tons of opportunity there that's always ongoing. And so we want to make sure in the services that we provide that the minority community is properly represented. Some of our current clients are Jefferson County Public Schools. There's 154 schools, and we're intimately involved with all construction projects that take place in those 154 schools, making sure the minority and women-owned businesses are properly participating in those endeavors. There's 4 new schools that are going to be built, all of them around $20 million a piece. So that's tons of opportunity for minority businesses to strategically participate if they're properly in position. Some of our other clients, Lextran up in Lexington, TARC here locally, Messer Construction. We're working with the city of Louisville as well. Also, Messer Construction, even Cardinal Construction here in Louisville. And the big opportunity that we were strategically a part of in the past was the $4 billion Bridges project downtown. So again, our goal is to connect the minority business community to this is a plethora of opportunities that are constantly taking place. We consider ourselves bridge builders. Our database is over 1,100 as it relates to minority businesses in this area. And we connect them to those opportunities. We coach them, vet them, and make sure that everybody understands what's expected from the general contractor to the coaching of the smaller organizations. So again, thanks for this opportunity. Look forward to working with you guys.
Excellent. Thank you, Vincel. Renee? Renee?
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, OneWest, for this opportunity to be on this esteemed panel. I am the executive director of the Human Relations Commission, and our job is to monitor and compliance with the different projects and complaints that come through Louisville Metro government. I saw in the poll that we have some minority businesses that are not certified, and I wanted to open the invitation to those businesses to get certified. Our certification is free, and we have technical assistance with our compliance analysts to help people through that process. And I'm sure we'll be talking about that more as this event goes on, but thank you for the opportunity to be here this morning.
Absolutely. Thank you, Renee. Sally?
Thank you for the opportunity to participate today. I have been at the University of Louisville for 14 years in purchasing procurement services the entire time. About 10 years in 2010, I was extensively involved with working with city leaders as a result of the ARENA project. They were able to obtain such substantial participation with minority and women-owned businesses. So the community came to Uofl wanting to know why we were not engaging the community more. And we worked for 3 years diligently and worked with TSMSDC and various other entities, but basically within a 3-year period, I lost my fight to try to get a position here at the university full-time to keep these initiatives that we would have to build in order to really track and motivate and instill our campus community in procurements with local businesses and minorities and women-owned businesses. So thankfully, this year, early this year, I discovered that one of our contract administrators was retiring, and I unfortunately had to give up that position to create an assistant director of diversity and inclusion. So we've already put some things in place. I am the chief procurement officer. I was appointed as director 2 years ago. So frankly, until I became the director of procurement, my hands were a bit tied with being able to organizationally put things in place with a structure and do some of the organizational and electronic devices that are necessary to really dissect your procurement. So the good news is now that I'm the chief procurement officer and I have my new employees starting in November. We have got some systems in place that will help us secure better percentages. To be frank, and in closing, as I told TSMSDC, frankly, the university hasn't in the past been empowered to do a lot because of the state requirements and our limited resources. However, luckily now we are going to be able to, and a lot of our participation in the past was a result of our construction projects. And it's very difficult when you have other minority businesses and local Black businesses come in and they don't have that skill set. They've got janitorial companies, they've got marketing companies, and it's as if they're locked out of those opportunities. So again, we are putting a percentage goal for all of procurements in place this year. And so again, we're not putting aggressive goals out, we're putting realistic goals out, and then going to hope to double those percentages year after year. So again, thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, Sally. And Phil.
Thank you, Ms. Yvonne. I'm Phil Reedinger with the Louisville Metro Housing. Here at the Housing Authority is to promote our programs associated with our MBE, WBE, and DBE, and Section 3 participation. My job, I monitor all the contracts, whether they be also of our operating company, a part of the company, as well as any of the big projects like the urban renewal project we have currently at Beecher Terrace. So to keep it short, 27 years nearly with the Housing Authority, really enjoyed it. And I want to thank Ms. Yvonne for including me on this panel. I think we can do a lot of good for the community, and the Housing Authority is always supportive of that. Thank you.
That is great. Thank you so much, Phil. And thank you all for being with us this morning. We're going to get into this topic right away because it is extremely important. A lot of people think about think about wealth creation in the realm of buying a home and the equity that someone might earn in their home over the course of time as they pay down their mortgage. But we all know on this call that one of the major ways that real wealth is created is through small business. And so we've got to make sure there are ways for people to get engaged in the opportunities that are available. And most of you all actually are in control of or head corporations that are part of institutions and corporations that are letting projects. One of the number one things I hear from minority contractors is the most difficult things to find out where the opportunities are in their particular trade. And so you all are really working hard to make sure that people are able to access those opportunities. I want to ask Kelly about procurement percentages, and when a project owner sets out to do work in an inclusive way, there are often percentages that they require for those projects. Can you talk a little bit about the way the MSD does that, and how you come up with your percentages? Is it project by project, or do you all have an overall goal?
We, because of the disparity study, we now have an overall goal. And so, and attached to that, we've also tried to remove some other barriers to ensure that minority businesses are included. Our goal for Black-owned businesses is 18% in construction-related professional services, and that includes engineering contracts as well. We have those broken down demographically because, as the disparity study showed us, that we did have underutilization, not just in Black-owned businesses, but in Asian American-owned businesses, in some women-owned businesses, and proceeding on. So what we've done is we've set goals demographically. And so right now that's 18%. I also mentioned earlier to try to make sure that we have some inclusion and that we just don't have our Black-owned businesses as subcontractors. We have a 10% bid discount that's available for all of our procurement that is $500,000 or less. So that 10% can equal 10% of what that estimated procurement amount can be, with a max of $50,000. So that will enable our Black-owned businesses to not just be subs, but to work with MSD as a prime contractor. The other way that I think is really important to mention is that, and some of the things that the West End Business Association touched on are about removing those barriers. There are barriers within our procurement system and just marketplace discriminatory barriers that exist. So as we set out to make sure that we are being inclusive and provide that type of, make sure everyone is included, we need to make sure that we're removing the barriers within our system and not just throw those percentages out there, but also make sure that we are tracking, monitoring, and ensuring compliance with those goals, because that's a whole nother layer of discriminatory action that takes place against Black-owned businesses.
Thank you so much, Kelly. You actually just gave us a great lead into this question for Vincel. Vincel, I know that 7 p.m. has worked for years to help minority businesses get on projects. And I know that knowing about the projects is one of the hurdles, but the other barriers that exist, can you talk a little bit about those? And to the point that Kelly made, if we know that sometimes the bonding companies ask, has the company performed as a prime in the past? I know that if they're not able to get to that level, sometimes it's very difficult for them to get bonding or to be able to check off that box. Will you talk about some of the barriers that you have been able to push owners of projects on, and how you've been able to get those barriers removed?
Well, Yvonne, you started off with the appropriate language, which sometimes is evasive, and that's really the crux of the matter, which is getting to the owner of the project. In many cases, people think the person that can solve the problem is the general contractor or the owner's rep, or there's a lot of variables that are out there, or adjectives that folks will push out there. But at the end of the day, it's really the owner. In many cases, what we attempt to do is almost use a lot of analogies in terms of having something done to your house. You're the one that kind of sets the tone of everything that's going to take place because it's your home. You're the owner, and it's the same thing on these projects. If you can have conversations, which is what we have been able to do, that's always our goal, is to get as high on the food chain, if you will, as possible in terms of having these discussions. If you have the discussions and set the bar with the owner then pushes that down to the general contractor. The general contractor pushes things down to the tier ones, and they push it down to tier 2. And to Kelly's point, if there is monitoring and tracking that's in place, then you really have a really high probability of being successful. But if you're not able to get the owner to buy in, then ultimately your conversation just pretty much goes nowhere. And so those conversations are paramount. and they have to happen way up front in so many construction conversations. A lot of people are in the architect world, are, those things happen way in advance. And so when you begin hearing about a project, the reality is educating our business owners that if you're just now hearing about it and meaning that it's in the paper or gone public, the decisions have already been made at that point. So you have to find a different track to get the data. It can't be, I heard it on the radio or I saw it in the newspaper. At that point, all the decision makers are already in place. So it's a lot of training and coaching on how to navigate and get to those projects and get to that information as early as possible. And even if you can, have an advocate at the owner's level.
Excellent. That makes a lot of sense. Going back to Sally. Sally, how would someone find out about projects and procurement opportunities at Uofl? What are you all doing to make that information readily available?
Well, by state law, every single bid or RFP has got to be advertised on our website. And we are in the process of having an electronic bidding system. So making contact with the appropriate contract administrator for whatever a vendor is able to provide is critical. And all that information is on the University of Louisville website. That's louisville.edu, www.louisville.edu. And again, if you go to the procurement website, there's a lot of power in that website. It shows all the contract administrators and listings of all what their categories are. Now with this new position, this person is going to be out in the community talking about what's coming up. And to be frank with you, because we are state funded, and athletics was also a very big part in construction at Uofl, we know of what we're going to do, but by the time we're going to pull the trigger, it's very quick. So, we know what's coming up, but we can't tell you what week, what month. We can tell you what year it's going to be. So that's why establishing a contact with the contract administrator here in our unit is critical. We've only got 4 of them now. So it's not like it's a big bureaucratic system.
Phil, can you answer that same question, but also tack in there what you all do as a quasi-government entity? There's this tendency for companies to want to deal with people they know and people with past track records. With the racial divide and the barriers to inclusion that we've seen over the course of the past 100 years, basically, how would you recommend a minority business get to the table with the housing authority to get a real opportunity? Are you all doing some new and different things to make sure that these companies who have not been afforded a long track record are actually able to get to the table and get access to opportunities?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, the Housing Authority has similar to Uofl. We have that bid opportunities on our website, and we do use an application that's called Housing Agency Marketplace, which is very powerful in the fact that not only does it list the current bids that we have out, but it also gives the person that's viewing, they can see everybody else that's interested. Now think how powerful that is when you're a small contractor and you're interested in bidding a job that you have a part of the participation, but you're not big enough to bid it. You can see who the big contractors are. They're going to be bidding the project, and therefore that's who you contact. You don't waste your time on people and contractors that are not interested in the project. So like I said, the Housing Authority is always on the outreach to try to get more participation, not only in just minority, but women-owned businesses, disabled-owned businesses. And of course, we have our Section 3 program, which is a requirement. And we're always working to try to get those processes up to speed. And this is a great opportunity for us to do that.
Can I jump in there for a sec?
Yes, ma'am.
The University of Louisville, for all of our construction projects, always has a pre-bid conference. And at the pre-bid conference, you can go no matter who you are. And then there's a sign-in sheet. So you sign in, and then we post that to our website after the pre-bid. So it is a huge opportunity for anybody to go to network while they're there, and also check our website where the solicitation was to see who was in that pre-bid.
Excellent. Excellent.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say, the Housing Authority has that same process, and it's very important to shake hands with the people that are going to be bidding the job. So we encourage every minority contractor, all small business contractors, to come to those pre-bids so they can see who is going to be bidding the job, shake their hand, give them their business card, and make that contact that's going to hopefully develop into some opportunity in the future.
Thank you. And I want to ask Ms. Renee Goatley, why is it important? What are some of the advantages? Why is it important to become an MBE? And what are some of the advantages of being certified? Can you speak to, and also can you speak to different certification processes?
Well, to me, being certified is a marketing tool for your small business, especially now during this pandemic that we are not doing a lot of face-to-face. If you are certified with the organization, then you're on a list, and that list is distributed among different folks as they're looking for diverse businesses to be able to find you. Being Metro, we have one of our big hurdles is being under the model procurement code. So therefore that blocks a lot of things that we would like to do. So we look at creative things of unbundling contracts in order to make them available for the smaller businesses. And basically Metro a couple of years ago put into their procurement that when we go out for 3 competitive bids, one of those bids needs to be a diverse company. So those are some of the things that we're doing for small businesses to make them more accessible to these contracts and to build their self. Why is it important? That's a way that you get to see people. Some of the other presenters talked about pre-bids, and it's very important for you to attend those pre-bids because that gives you an open door to be able to market yourself to those primes and be out there so you can see who you are and what you do. So yes, certification is a big piece in all of this. And like I said, it's a lot of certification organizations out here. One of the first questions that I asked a company is, who do you want to do business with, as to whose certification will be most served by you. I taught about ours is no cost. There are some certification organizations that a cost is associated with it, but with that cost, it gets you to the door of some of those people that you wanting to do business with. So that's a conversation that we can have offline about these different certification entities, but there's a lot out there from the federal level, local level, national level, whether you're into global businesses, whatever. So
that's very helpful. Thank you, Renee. I know that there's several questions. I think Emily might have a few in the chat room, but I also want folks to think about the hundreds of millions of dollars that are going to be spent at the airport. There's going to be significant contracting happening there. And to someone's point earlier, we as a minority business community, we don't want to be focused on cutting grass when the real money is in hauling dirt or in being able to pave and concrete sidewalks and parking lots. I know businesses that we've stood up in North Carolina that make a living at striping parking lots. The other thing is if people are looking for an area to jump into, there's some areas, very low barrier areas like silk fencing for projects. People need to be thinking about what can I do on a continuous basis. And if I have the ability to participate here in Louisville, where over 40 some odd companies are working collaboratively on their procurement processes. if I have the ability to do my business, I'm not just looking at silk fencing for one project. I should be looking at how I can gain market share by working across these 40 companies and building my business and my brand. We'll get into branding a little bit later in 2021, but I want to really get people thinking about, these are the people here on the panel and others that are to come that you need to be thinking about talking to. We do need to take a look at the certification process because it is very time consuming for a small business owner. And so I know that Kelly is working on some initiatives with some other folks, and as much as we can to try to streamline that process as well, so that folks can begin to get their administrative pieces together and then be very intentional about how they can get the work and perform at a high level. So I'm so excited that we're all working together. Emily, do you have some questions for this panel that came in from the audience?
Yes, we actually do have a couple of audience responses. One was just a comment saying from Opeyemi Asaolu, who said, "This is excellent, especially since we are new to the construction and engineering field. It helps to work and know the prime contractors." And they wanted to thank this panel for the information they're providing. We also have a question. This is from Alicia Richardson, who asked, "Having an MBE certification can give me an edge, but do they have any programs that provide some classes annually, like a refresher for GCs, since an actual exam is not required here? The curriculum could give an extra edge or a badge to have."
Excellent.
So does anyone have any programming they'd like to speak about along those lines?
Well, at MSD, ours is not specifically geared toward just general skill building, but it's more geared toward how to do business with MSD. Kind of relates more to some of the networking and access that we talked about, because you'll also learn exactly all the qualifications and what's needed to do business with us, what we accept, what we don't accept. And then we've got other partnerships that we do with other organizations such as OneWest, where we look at capacity building for minority and Black-owned businesses.
I want to
I
put
was going to say that that same thing, that we do outreach type of events in order to get people aware of what is happening in the community around certification. Our office has also hosted some hands-on certification workshops, basically where we worked with individuals on their application. So there are some different things out there that we're doing to try to educate the public around certification.
Yvonne, this is Vincel with the 7 p.m. group. I wanted to say that in that area of training and coaching for specifically the MWBE, we definitely do that. And it's imperative that when you do get your opportunity, whether it's with the airport or with the city of Louisville or with MSD, that you're properly prepared to execute, know how to read business plans and how to properly perform. And so, yes, we definitely have those things. And one side note, in terms of some of the conversation of the excellent folks that we have here presenting, we've done work in lots of other cities. And in the other cities, what we challenge those that represent some of the organizations like that are here, and I'll just like say Cleveland as an example, if your program is working well, if someone analyzes it and you're reaching your numbers. If you're not reaching your numbers, then whatever, meaning your goal, if your goal is 10% and you're consistently coming in at 2%, then, and what we've analyzed and said to them is, you really need to look at changing it because your process is not working. So we really are, we challenge those other folks in other communities, and we're saying to this city, working with folks like OneWest and some of the great ideas that Yvonne has and some of the things that we've been talking about with the up and coming things heading to West Louisville, really challenging our folks in this community to look at doing things a little bit different. I know MSD has a phenomenal track record, but not everybody can say they have a phenomenal track record. That's, to me, how you really know if your process is an effective one, is if you look at 2019, does it say we're doing good, or does it say we really need to work on some improvement?
Thank you, Vincent. And I do want to say, Emily, this is a great opportunity to announce that the plan room is getting put in place by OneWest and other partners. 7 p.m. is a part of that, and we're very excited. Uofl is working with us on that. And then a very, very aggressive program is being put in place with OneWest and KPFF. And that's where we're going to be doing BIM training for local youth and young adults, where they could get involved in some early design work. And that training is going to start before the end of the year. The other thing is, be on the lookout, because the OneWest Plan Room is going to have numerous training opportunities, online opportunities, as well as in-person trainings for minority business enterprises. So we want you to be on the lookout for that, because it's coming. We also want those owners of projects to know that we want to post your opportunities, because we want the community to know what's available. And so don't get down or depressed about how difficult things might be right now. Believe me, Louisville is about to turn a corner here on the procurement and collaborative opportunities for procurement. Emily, another question?
So we actually may need to move to our second panel just now. I did want to let everyone know that if we didn't have time to answer your question live, we will be providing responses to all the Q&A questions after the webinar in writing. So please make sure that you put your questions in the Q&A, and we'll make sure you have responses. And if we have a little time after our next panel, we'll come back to some of these questions as well. So,
sounds great. Thank you so much, Emily. So panel 2 is getting ready to get started, and we want to let anybody on panel 1 know that they're welcome to drop off, and we will have the participants for panel 2 on screen. I'd like to introduce to you the facilitator for panel 2, Mr. Derek Littlejohn, Vice President of Commercial Lending for PNC Bank. PNC Bank has been a strong supporter of OneWest and the programs and contracts that we're involved in, and we're looking forward to having Derek Littlejohn participate with us over the course of the upcoming years. Derek brings over 15 years of corporate experience to his role as Vice President for Commercial Banking at PNC. He's a native of Louisville and a graduate of the University of Kentucky, and also obtained his MBA from UK's Gatton College of Business. As a recognized thought leader in the corporate financial planning area, Derek provides his clients with detailed analysis and guidance with a goal to drive growth for his clients and the community. We are really excited about having Derek on this panel and as our facilitator, and I will turn it over to Derek now.
Well, thank you, Yvonne, and thank you to everyone really for joining us this morning. We're going to turn now to talk about some helpful tips and programs to help you finance your next project and hopefully help you plan for growth. We have with us what I think is a distinguished panel with decades of combined experience in the financial sector. And hopefully you've had a chance to read their bios on the website, but at this time, I'd like to offer each a moment to introduce themselves. So let's kick things off with Pedro Bryant with Republic Bank.
Good morning, and thank you for having me. I really appreciate OneWest doing this, and Derek, for you serving as a moderator for this panel. My name is Pedro Bryant. I am an Executive Vice President and Managing Director of Community Lending with Republic Bank. Under my portfolio, I also have our small business SBA lending department and some commercial lending as well. Recently, we started a community loan fund. I've been with Republic now just 93 days. On my first day, we sat down to talk about some of the challenges this community has faced since the Breonna Taylor incident. But a lot of these issues go back decades. And so we wanted to put something together that could have an impact with small business, creating job opportunities, economic development, and economic growth in West Louisville and other communities throughout Louisville and Jefferson County.
Thank you, Pedro. How about Dan Ferris with El Home?
Thank you very much, Derek. My name is Dan, and I just want to echo what's been said about gratitude for being here. And cannot tell you how much I enjoyed listening to Weba and some of the events that are taking place, and it fits into our lending scheme. I'm with LHOME, which stands for, it's a great long name, the Louisville Housing Opportunity Micro Enterprise Community Development Loan Fund Incorporated. We are a CDFI, which is a community development financial institution. We don't compete with banks. We try to get people in the position to move through the creditworthiness to a position of being bankable. So that's always our goal. One of the things that Pedro just mentioned of the decades, and he's been involved in this, and many others on the panel have too. I started in the banking business, the commercial banking, down in the little hometown bank of Murray, Kentucky, before my military career. And one of the things I've been fortunate enough to notice is in that setting, as a young banker in the commercial loan area, anybody came in was always handing their business off to a son or a daughter. It was a family-owned business. It was the good old boy system. We had our loans kept in a file drawer, and somebody came in to make a payment. We pulled it out and made the interest and principal payment and handed them a receipt. Things have changed, the world's changed, and so have we. And so I've been lucky enough to retire and move to Louisville, I thought, retire. And so I'm back in that business of lending. And what I see now, what I'm so encouraged about is the young minority entrepreneur spirit of young people who are beginning the wealth building for their family. And so I am so excited to be a part of LHOME's collaborative effort with all the participants. And thank you very much for the opportunity.
Well, thank you, Dan. How about Brenda Hyatt with Metco?
I really appreciate, my name is Brenda Hyatt. I really appreciate the opportunity to participate in this panel this morning. I am with Louisville Forward and with the Economic Development Department, and I manage the Metropolitan Business Development Corporation, which is the short name is Metco. And it's the small business loan program for the city of Louisville. And we have about 11 different loan programs. We have a special loan program that has been developed in the last 3 years, specifically for West Louisville businesses. And so we're always trying to support the development of West Louisville. And also right now we've been very busy with COVID relief programs. We have a grant program that is being administered by the Economic Development Department. And then we also have a loan program that Metco is administering for COVID relief. And so excited to be here and participate, and thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Brenda. And finally, this morning we have with us Raymond Smith with Park Community Credit Union. Raymond?
Yes, good morning. Let me say thank you, Yvonne, for asking and allowing me to be here with you on today. Also, let me commend the first panel group that's already been on that you listened to. Phenomenal job. And so I certainly want to compliment the first panel that has gone before us and set the table of what we're about to talk about now. Also, Derek, thank you for moderating this. And let me just simply say, I'm Raymond Smith with Park Community Credit Union. We have a territory that stretches from southern Indiana down to Berea, Kentucky, and all the contiguous counties in between. One of the things that I love about what I do is having an opportunity of helping individuals achieve their dreams. And dreams come in all packages, all sizes. And one of the things that I say to individuals on a regular basis is I'm thankful to say is that many times I don't have to say no, but sometimes I have to say not now. But when you finally finish steps 1, 2, 3, then we're able to put something together to assist you in what your dream is. I tell people all the time that I just want to be a tool in your tool belt. You can't build a business or a house with one tool. So I just want to be a tool in your tool belt to complement and work with these organizations, the other organizations that are on this panel. All of them do a phenomenal job in what they do. So develop your tool belt so that you have the ability of not only having access to opportunity, but you have access to capital. And you can do nothing without the capital. So again, let me just say thank you for allowing me to be here and be a part of such a distinguished guest and panel, and look forward to talking with you today.
Thank you, Raymond. I think we might be able to end the panel after that now, but we'll jump into a few questions here. Thank you so much for that. And so I'll maybe kick this question off for Pedro. And you know, as part of the lending process, you know, banks and lenders must consider the current economic environment when evaluating requests. So, you know, what, if anything, has changed due to the pandemic in terms of lending standards or benchmarks that you like to see from borrowers?
Very good question, Derek. One of the big things that I've noticed that's changed is we're now asking borrowers to describe how the impact of restrictions such as stay-at-home orders, social distancing, travel and traffic flow, how they've impacted their operations and cash flow. The other thing that we've looked at, and I think every business and every organization in our community and a country had to recognize the impact to business revenue and staffing levels. Is there a gradual or phased approach to returning to normal operations? And does this plan go out 12, 18, 24 months? And does it include changes in products and services? For us, those are critical questions that have to be answered. And we find that businesses that have thought through this and have put together a plan, especially those that are still operating today, it's clear that they've done some of this. And so we just ask that they are able to articulate that and include it in their business plan as they're presenting a loan request.
Yeah, thank you, Pedro. I certainly echo that. I mean, obviously, this is a situation that, you know, it's hard to prepare for because no one saw this coming. But, you know, the folks that are able to really nail down their plan and their response at this moment are going to be the ones that kind of move forward. So thank you for that. Raymond, equity inclusion is an important topic that continues to be a central theme, I think, in the national conversation. But minority firms have been historically underrepresented, resulting in younger firms with management sometimes less familiar with the borrowing process and less familiar with demonstrating creditworthiness. What are some tips and tools for a business owner who sees that path to growth but needs assistance in getting there?
One of the things that I would say, and thank you for the question as well, Derek. One of the things that I want to say first and foremost on that piece is do business with someone that wants to do business with you. I think it's very important that there's a difference in doing something because you have to and doing something because you want to. So how do I find that out? Many of the businesses I work in, individuals I talk to all the time, I say, when's the last time that you interviewed your banker? When's the last time that you interviewed the person that you're looking to borrow from, right? Because there are a gazillion financial institutions that are lending money. And I think it's important for you to do business with someone that wants to do business with you. So being able to talk with them, that's going to be able to walk with you. Anybody can make a 750 score loan, but what are you needing to get from point A to point Z? And many of the people on the panel today will be able to assist with that as well. But it's important to be able to do and have those kind of relationships so that as you hitting these hurdles or some of the things that you don't know about, that they're able to assist you in being able to get from one step to the other. So I think it's very important to have a relationship with your financial institution going in. And here's what I say all the time. Don't go in and try to meet somebody when you need something. Establish that relationship before you need anything. Walking into one of the financial institutions, getting a chance to meet who the manager is, just simply letting them know, I'm one of your customers, I'm one of your members, I wanted to get to know you, you to get to know me, so that when I do need something, you know who I am. So I think it's very important to establish, to develop that relationship, and then find out who is doing business because they have to and who's doing business because they want to. Big difference there, and you'll see the results when you deal with people that want to see your business succeed.
Yeah, you know, I couldn't agree with you know, more. That is, and I think a common theme from even the prior panel that the importance of establishing a relationship before you actually need to bid on the project. You need to understand who that contractor is, understand what the project is, and certainly that carries into the financial institution. It's great to have that relationship on a long-term basis. So thank you. Brenda, we know in many cases, contractors can face cash flow gaps, the need for capital to bridge that time gap between the start of construction and payment for the work, especially in the cases where you have primes or delays from the prime. What strategies or programs are there to help bridge that gap?
Well, we're actually have been addressing this problem recently, and I'm working with Develop Louisville, the Develop Louisville department. There's an RFI right now out for it's a loan guarantee program to try to assist contractors and construction people to obtain loans with financial institutions, by assisting the financial institutions with guaranteeing that loan. So using money to help kind of offset the risk that's involved with some of these loan programs, so that the financial institutions will be more comfortable. So that's one of the things that we are doing, is to try to to roll out a loan guarantee program that we can assist financial institutions, so that they will be more inclined to make those loans to contractors and construction people that are having those issues. We also have I have one unsecured product that could be used for that purpose, and that loan it's very it's very broad in what the purpose of the loan, so it can be used for the purpose that you have suggested. And that is an unsecured program that's like a 5-year loan program, and it doesn't require any collateral. So small businesses that were having that gap, construction or contractors, that might be able to assist them. And that is our Business Accelerator loan program. So those are kind of the things that we have been working on and developing with Metco.
Great. And I would assume that the application process for that is something that you could certainly help folks work through.
Yes. On our website, my name, number, and direct number. So the calls come directly to me, and my email address. Whenever anybody reaches out to me, I work with them one-on-one on the whole application process, and and try to make it as simple and seamless as possible.
Great, thank you, Brenda. Dan, let's turn to you here. Often contractors and investors, see requirements for down payments that could be the 20 to 25% range, and other upfront costs. What programs or options are available that you know of to provide assistance with that?
One of our main products that we have is a working capital loan, and I must say that in all of this, access to capital, as Raymond pointed out, and as I know, I've worked with everyone on this financial panel this morning, and I can tell you that they all have products that are tailored to help young entrepreneurs and small businesses, and they do a phenomenal job of collaborating with us and others that are in the nonprofit or the community development world. The high interest rates that, when you add on all the other fees, as you mentioned, it can go to 20-25% when you're looking for some kind of startup working capital. We do have in our loan portfolio a working capital loan. It can go up to 15,000 to 7.5%, and it's a 6-month loan with interest only for the 6 months. That allows the contractor, the subcontractor, to offer the contract.
Hey, Dan, I think you might have gone on mute there.
Yeah, all right, I'm back, I hope.
There you go. Yeah.
But the loan, the product that we offer keeps that interest rate down, and they tell me that we're trying to move the needle just a little bit on the seismograph to rattle the world a little bit and say, look, we need to get these young folks started off, so we can hand them off, get their credit score up. And I think that's going to be a topic perhaps we talk a little bit about, is the access to credit gets denied so often by just looking at a single 3-digit figure, and the door gets closed and the dreams go south. So we need to figure out a way to work with that and keep the costs down and take the risk that will move people forward.
Yeah, I agree, and thank you, because you did introduce kind of an open question I think I have now for all the panelists to get involved here. With the credit scores as a means of primary assessment can certainly provide problems in some cases, and so what are some responses from each institution that we can do to help folks maybe get over that hurdle, or maybe pull in some other characteristics that can help maybe level out the credit score?
Derek, I'll take this one first. One of the things that I would encourage the participants to do, and I encourage everyone that I come encounter with, from young people to small business owners, is to obtain a copy of your credit report, manage your personal debt, the number of credit cards you have, take a look at the usage of credit cards, and try to limit outstanding balances to no more than 30% of the total line. I've been in banking for 37 years, and whenever I make a loan for the first time to an individual or a small business person, I always leave them with this: if you ever run into a problem, call me as soon as you discover the problem or challenge. Don't wait until it's 10 days past due to let me know there's a problem. Because with transparency and with communication, those of us in the financial services sector, we want to see our customers succeed. And when there is a two-way line of communication, there's always a way to work things out if there is constant and regular communication.
Yes, Pedro, I would also like to add to that I think it's what I always tell people is be upfront and honest, in the beginning. When you walk in the door, if you've got an issue that is on your credit, tell the officer, the loan officer up front about it and the reason, and explain, up front, because it's better to be honest and for them to be, warned, rather than to, for them to pull the credit and find it out, after the fact. So I think that is another thing, because mistakes happen, things do happen. And as long as you can explain, this is what happened, this was the situation, I think that, we're people and we can understand that, there's things that happen, that life does happen. And I know at Metco, I look at the full picture. The credit score and the credit report is just one small piece of the evaluation of a loan application. And, there's lots of other things that go into making that decision. And so that is just a very small piece. And I don't have a minimum credit score that I'm looking for. I don't, so that is, it's really the full picture. And that's what I tell my clients.
I can jump in, I'll just simply say, and I want to continue to piggyback on what they've already said, is that it's the individual, right? This credit score, again, is just a piece, but it's the person, it's the individual. You having a plan and knowing how to succeed with that plan, right? Have a plan that will work for you, being able to sit down and be honest and open and direct with the lender. And credit score, and Brenda just said it, credit score is just a piece of who you are. And I'm thankful to say, and again, all of our panelists have different and special projects that, you know, we have products that somebody can borrow money that has a credit score of 585. That's unheard of, right? 585, borrow $100,000 to purchase a home, 100% financing, no PMI, $2,000 of your closing costs at a 585. Now, I'm not saying that to move you from anywhere else, but what I'm saying is that we want to give individuals an opportunity, a chance, and everybody needs a second chance. Everybody needs opportunities. So it's a matter of sitting down, Brenda said it, as well as Pedro, and being honest with where you are, what your goals are, and where you desire to be, and how you're going to get there. And being able to sit down with a lender that will help walk you through that. I said earlier that sometimes it's not no, I mean, it's not no, I mean, not now, not no, but not now. But being able to walk through that process to put yourself in position that down the road, whether it's 3 months, whether it's a month, whether it's 6 months, to be able to obtain the financing that you need to do your business.
Derek, speaking of credit scores, we try very hard to stay away from those. Of course, we do value them, and we have to. Our board of directors always insist that we have a minimum score, and that's 520. So we don't make many of those, and it has to be an exception. But the problem with credit scores, if we've seen FICA change over the years, has been I mean, how many iterations do we have now? Maybe 9 or 10, I don't know. FICO score 9 takes into consideration some of the medical bills and things, and student loans. So we've tried to massage credit scores to be the end all, and they're not. As has been pointed out by every lender on this panel, they're not the end all, but they're a mark. They're a point that we can start from and say, and we can help and send people to technical assistance, and we can send people over to other helping agencies to help build their credit. But it's a starting point. It's not the ending point. That's what I guess I need to say, and all of that.
Absolutely. Thank you, everyone, for sharing your thoughts on this. And I know all of us being in this industry, we could talk for hours about back and forth about things that we see that are changing. But obviously, I think we've got some time constraints. So just to kind of for housekeeping, I'd like to maybe bring Emily in to see if there's any panel or Q&A questions that we need to address. Otherwise, I have maybe 1 or 2 other panel questions that I could throw out there.
Yes, so we do have a couple of questions that have come in. One of those relates to student loan debt. So Lynette Glass asked, how does or can student loan debt impact an individual's ability to obtain business loans?
You know, student loans, I can remember having student loan debt when I graduated from college. What I would encourage anyone to do is to, as soon as you graduate, or if you've already graduated college, reach out to those institutions that have provided student loan debt to you. Make certain there's a plan. Know when your deferments end. If there are extensions, make certain that there's constant communication. If there's a payment plan, honor the payment plan. And as always, if there's a challenge, speak with your creditor. I don't think anyone in the financial services industry goes a month without looking at a credit report that does not have student loan debt on it.
Yeah, I think that's fairly common. Did anyone else want to respond to that question about student loan debt?
Well, I think Pedro really covered it well. Absolutely. Student loan, we don't look at many applications without a student loan on it. It's just how how we're going to value that in addition to credit score.
Okay. We've also had another question come in about predatory lending. So predatory lending has been a big issue in Kentucky. We have to help low-income families that have been targeted by loan predators. How can we help these families get out from under these types of lenders?
Well, that falls a lot in the CDF. I'll take it. Dan here, Emily, thanks. And thanks for the question. Predatory lending, one of our primary charters is to try to put the people that prey on borrowers that are in bad straits, to put payday lenders out of business. I hate to, that's our primary goal. And we can't do that without having equal opportunity and access to capital. And that's what we're trying to create. It's not uncommon at all for us to see somebody come in our application sphere that have gone to payday lenders and paid 430% interest. And let me say it one more time, 430% APR for a payday loan that could have been avoided had there, number one, been somebody either to talk to clear that with, a clearinghouse, something that we must do in order to eliminate payday lending. It's got to stop.
I would add, and I'm going to comment on something that Raymond Smith said earlier. I would encourage every individual, every entrepreneur, every business owner to go introduce yourself to your banker, the financial institution down the street, the institution that serves your community. It's good to know someone when you don't need anything. It's critically important to know someone when you need assistance. And that's why establishing relationships, as Raymond said early, is very important. Interview the people that you deposit your funds with, so that when the opportunity presents itself and you're in financial need, whether it's personal or business, you have an established relationship.
Yes.
That relationship is everything.
Yeah, it's all about relationships, and Dan and Pedro, thank you very much. The payday lending is almost like a drug. Once you get in, it's very hard to get out of, as Dan said, 430 plus % APR is what you're paying. One of the things that I would say, though, is, again, and Pedro reiterated the fact of the relationship. Going in, don't let pride get in your way of being able to go in and talk to your financial institution. Because if I've got a relationship with them, I can talk with them about anything. One of the things that we're doing to combat that is what we call kind of a Q cash, because we want to get people out of payday lending. And I mentioned to you that, we'll look at the smallest of loans from the 500 up to the several million. But in this particular program, it's designed that someone literally can make 6 clicks on their cell phone of applying to be able to get out of that rut, to get out of that drug. I mean, they truly are preying on people, and I don't mean P-R-A-Y, they are P-R-E-Y. And so it's important that we know institutions and entities that will help us with that. And we do have a program that does look to get people out of bondage and into the mainstream of the credit arena.
It's a fantastic resource. We actually have another question that pertains to the first panel. We left a little more room after this second one in case people had questions related to procurement. And that question is, for companies trying to further grow their MBE contractor contacts, where would you direct them to ID qualified and certified MBE contractors? I know we have several procurement partners on the line who do a great job with reaching out to the MBE contractor community. Ms. Vernay, would you like to respond to that?
Yeah, I can take that. Basically, if you're not a corporate member of one of the certification entities, you can go online, and I put our website in the chat earlier, and you can see the list of who our certified vendors are. Also, the state of Kentucky has a certification program, and they're listing certified vendors is on that on their website. And the Kentucky Department of Transportation, DOT, their DBE certification is also online that you can get. So those are 3 certification entities that you can get their listing of their database online for free.
Thank you. And I've put that into the chat again. Phil or Sally, did you want to add anything to that comment?
I think also the Louisville Jefferson County Human Relations Commission has their own database that's accessible and searchable. So that's a vital resource too. And the Housing Authority can help you with that as well.
And again, Uofl has that website. However, don't hesitate to reach out to me anytime. Give my name out freely because, again, a lot of our staff, I pray that we don't lose any. However, there is turnover. And so I intend, fingers crossed, to retire from Uofl a long time from now. So please give out my name freely because I learn information on a daily basis, and connecting you with the appropriate person or our new Assistant Director of Diversity and Inclusion will be critical to keep up to date.
Thank you, Ms. Sally. And I'll add as well, I don't believe that he's still on the line, or I would call him over to talk, but Mr. Eddie Dunn is the president of the Minority Contractors Association of Kentuckiana, and he, along with John Hilliard, they're working together to get a group of minority contractors for all of the purposes we've been talking about today, for everything from training to bidding opportunities to advocacy with state and local policies. So if you're interested in connecting with them, Mr. Dunn's not on the line anymore, but just shoot us an email at info@onewest.org and we'll make sure you get connected. So thank you, everybody. That's all of the questions that we've had come in today. So I'm going to hand the floor over to Ms. Yvonne Smith to close us out.
Thank you, everyone. I greatly appreciate you. And on behalf of our board and our board chair, Ms. Nikki Lanier, we just want to thank you all for participating. As you all know, we are just in the beginning stages of really transforming this industry with regard to construction and construction related services. I don't want to minimize how important the designers are for architecture and engineering and any other area that touches construction, because everyone will play a role in this MBE participation. The other thing is we just want to send out a shout out to all of the owners of projects that are participating with MSD and the mayor's office and their new initiative around procurement. We want everybody to know that Louisville is working hard to try to right the wrongs of economic injustices, and we are going to win. We're going to make it through. And I just want to tell you that these are the kinds of folks that we have here in Louisville working on this, and and collaboratively together, we will make it a lot better landscape for our minority business enterprises. And I'm looking forward to seeing in the next 5 years who's grown their business to a significant level and all the parties that played a role in helping them to do so. I know I'll see many of the faces that we have here today on those teams and being a part of the ecosystem that helps these businesses to grow. And you all know, I'm from North Carolina. I came to Louisville almost 3 years ago. So I'm not telling you what I heard. I'm telling you what I've been a part of. And it happens, and we can do it here, and we can do it at a level of excellence. There are so many more people in Louisville that want to see you win than those that don't. So stay focused on doing your very best and providing services at a level of excellence. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for everyone in the audience who took your Saturday morning to be with us. And we look forward to more of these webinars in the future. I want to thank our team, Emily and Chen, for their technical assistance in the background and on the front line. You all are amazing as usual. I want everyone to have a wonderful weekend. Talk to you soon.